Yeah, get that out. All right, so tonight we're doing another discussion night, and we don't have anybody to discuss with. So this time we're just gonna be doing it through chat. So we have T Sil here, but we call him Allie. So what do you want people to call you? All right. And so yeah, something I want to talk about today was this whole Black Friday sale. Well, Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale. There was a news report coming out saying that the sales were really low, and they were saying it was because of the pandemic, but honestly, I believe it's that way because the sales were just shitty. What do you think? It's just to lure people in. Mm, yeah. Honestly, I was disappointed by the sales. I remember back in the day, Black Friday and Cyber Monday, it would be good deals. It'd be like a thing 70, 80% off. But people are saying it's because of the pandemic. I don't think so. But I could be wrong. I don't think so though. I really just hope that because of what happened this year, they'll step their game up next year and actually give Black Friday sales. Because this year was just ridiculous. Did you buy anything for Black Friday? Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah, I agree. For Black Friday, look, granted, I got this iPad for Black Friday. For those you don't know, I'm recording on my new iPad Air. Originally, I wanted to buy the iPad that was like $250 for Best Buy. It was gonna come with 32 gigabytes, but that sold out. And so then I was gonna buy the iPad, the one for 2020. I was gonna buy it with the 200 something gigabytes, so that also sold out. And so I ended up buying the iPad Air. Yeah, me and my family we went to Target early, and there was barely anybody there. It felt dumb. I don't know. It felt kind of sad to be honest with you. Like Black Friday is a dumb event, but I don't know. It's like life isn't great without a little bit of weird in your life. Like if like is life truly worth it if everything's just perfect all the time? I spice it up. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So before we start recording, I sent you a list of things of what I was thinking about that we could talk about tonight. And I know the main thing I want to talk about tonight, but I think I'm gonna save that for a little bit later. So the first thing I want to talk about is, I we live in 2020. 9 times out of 10, you have a phone, a tablet, a laptop, etc. Do you feel like as a society we're too dependent on technology, or do you think that it's just evolution? I think a lot of people are taking technology for granted. Mm. To the point where people are just obsessed with it. Mm. Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like a lot of people sometimes tend to focus a lot more on the negative rather than the positive. Because I feel like overall technology has had a lot more of a positive outcome on life than a negative one. And I say that because with technology, I just feel like you have a lot more opportunities than you would have without it. Now, granted, it's a lot of privacy situations going on that I can understand somebody would argue when it came to technology and where we are today, but I just feel like overall, you don't have to, you can just create your own business. The barrier to entry is way lower than ever before. We've gone to the point now where 14-year-olds can make a TikTok on their phone and go viral and make a bunch of money off of stuff like that. When in the past, 10, 20 years ago, you can never do stuff like that. There wouldn't be a Charlie D'Amelio, doing TikTok dances and getting 100 million people for no reason. I think Justin Bieber on YouTube, him blowing up is like a prime example of that. Just like a normal person just coming out of nowhere, blowing up and making millions. He didn't have to do all these things to get there. All you gotta do is just upload a video of yourself. Granted, you won't instantly be famous, of course, but it's just the fact that you have that opportunity, or just the fact that there's a chance that could happen. I do agree with you that a lot of people take that for granted. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I agree. A lot of people really don't. Yeah. How do you think that people got to that situation? Like, what makes somebody want to become famous? Mm, yeah. I feel like nowadays, being famous really isn't the same as what do you call it? Being commercially successful. Like you have somebody like Ariana Grande. You know, granted, if you don't know the situation, she put out a new album. Her album's name was on Positions, and it sold about, I believe, I think it was, granted, at least 150K, and pure sales was about 47K. And a lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's great for the time of the pandemic and all," but I don't know. I disagree with that. I feel like there really is a big difference between popularity and commercial success. Because you see somebody like Taylor Swift, she has not really been, like, popping, in my opinion, not, like, on top for a cool minute now. And, her recent album, Folklore, came out, and it sold way more than that Position's album. And so I think it just really shows you right there. Everybody used to be upset. Yeah. Yeah, man. And even Justin Bieber, like right now, popularity wise, he isn't everybody's favorite. But commercially, he's number one on Spotify right now. So when it comes to popularity, I feel like it's not really the same thing anymore. It's not really, and honestly, I think that's a good thing. I don't think that people who are most popular as musical artists should be on top. I think it should really just be about who's the better musician. Who came out with the better album rather than, who's cooler. All right, so I'm gonna introduce somebody. His name is Black Soul. I don't know what he wants to call himself, but I don't know. What should we call you, Black Soul?
You can call me Matt.
Call you Matt. All right, Matt. So right now we're talking about social media, and we're talking about if, as a society, are we too dependent, or is this just evolution? Like, are we just moving
Mhm.
forward as society, or, as some people would say, with social media and the internet, we're moving back?
Uh-huh. Uh, oh, my opinion.
Yes.
Oh, I personally think that we aren't too dependent.
What do you think so?
Well, cause you know, calling people, we can't do that without technology.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But do you think
I'm
that? Do you think
sorry, I'm
it's
so
made life
awkward.
easier? Oh, that's fine.
What?
Do you think social media, like, do you guys think it's made life easier or harder long term? We've had like social media for about a cool decade now, almost 2 decades.
For social media? Oh, yikes. I don't think social media is like a good thing, you know,
Why do you think so?
because people getting canceled, getting hate and all that for
Mm,
posting a single picture or music or stuff that they like. Like you do a small thing wrong or someone makes some fake news about you and you can get canceled over that.
mm. When it comes to being quote unquote canceled, do you guys believe that? So yeah, do you guys believe that when it comes to being canceled, can we see many people be quote unquote canceled? Most of the time, they don't really end up going away. So, do you guys think that being canceled is determined by the people or by just the artist or the person itself? Like for me, I personally believe that I think it really just has to do with the artists themselves because you see a lot of people like Jeffree Star, Shane Dawson, James Charles, etc. These people get canceled about every 3 to 5 business days, And granted, Shane Dawson has not been back, but I really do think that it's about that person, that individual person deciding that they are canceled rather than the people. I really don't think that the people have that much power when it comes to these people doing controversial things anymore. Because again, it's like everybody has their own platforms now. And so if everybody's free, then it's really harder to control anybody. Because it's like, imagine I get canceled and stuff like that. At the end of the day, you still move forward. Even if it is hard, even if nobody really even watches your content anymore. I think if you're ever gonna be canceled, it really just depends on your response. Yeah, I know when it comes to PewDiePie, sometimes I just feel like when it comes to being canceled, again, it depends on your reaction when it comes to really the end of you, would say. Because I feel like if PewDiePie didn't take any of that stuff seriously, I don't feel like he would be in the situation he's in right now. Mm, it's fine. Yeah, following somebody without a second thought. Mm, yeah. Do you guys think that's a good thing though? Like when I hear stuff like that, sometimes it does make me a little it makes me nervous because at the end of the day, a bunch of kids are just following a stranger online at the end of the day. That's what I'm saying. Like it kind of sounds like these kids sound like they're brainwashed when you say it like that. Because it's like it's fine if it's just dumb stuff like that, but it's another thing if people are putting certain ideas in their heads and just putting them down that bad path. Honestly, it's kind of like what music is now. They put all of these messed up thoughts in your head that you would probably never ever do in your life and that is wrong. Like we hear music about killing each other and all of these terrible things on music all the time. We're completely okay with that if it's on a song. But if some like if they actually end up being arrested for that stuff in real life, all of a sudden we treat them like the devil. It's just, I mean, what does that say about us? Yeah, doing drugs and all, putting all these messed up ideas in people's heads, and then these folks get surprised when kids end up doing it as well. When they like now all these teenagers, everybody smoking weed. That's like it's the next cool thing. And I mean, look, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm telling you right now. So, what about the artist who wrote the song? What song? Oh, the song's about drugs. I mean, I'm sure those artists, they also got influence. Like, did they do drugs and all? I mean, I'm not sure. I know that Future, he's one person who doesn't do any of the drugs that he talks about in his music. You know, sometimes I feel like it's kind of like what a drug dealer is, really. It's like you don't ever try out your own product. And so maybe it's the same thing when it comes to music or, the type of messages they put out there. Maybe they don't do the things that they promote. I really wouldn't be surprised if it turned out that way, honestly. I definitely do. No, I've always felt that way. I feel like a lot of these teenagers, they it's like you're just putting more, more fire to the flames, When, like if you're depressed and you're just listening to other depressed people, I've, like it doesn't it's like being on drugs and then taking more drugs, It's like it's not really fixing the problem in my opinion. Like I hear this big argument about how, it's making people feel like they're not alone in the situation. I think that's great, but I do feel like in the long term when you're listening to emo rap and songs about wanting to kill themselves and and all those things, I do feel like it does have an overall negative effect on things. I mean, you don't really hear a lot of music nowadays about happy people. If the celebrities are sad and depressed, then the kids are probably gonna be sad and depressed. And same with these YouTubers. A lot of YouTubers, they kind of do the same thing. They really talk about this depression stuff. And granted, they're people, so I don't think it's a bad thing, but I do think long term, you see a lot more kids depressed at like 12, 13, very young ages. Yeah, I feel like when it comes to a lot of people listening to rap music and stuff like that, they really don't listen to to the lyrics all that much. And I'm the same. Like when I was younger, when I was in high school, I used to listen to XXX I mainly listened to him because I don't know. When I was like 16 at high school, he was just blowing up at the time, and I feel like I started listening to him once his 17 album came out, and yeah. But when I listen to the lyrics now, it's like, some really dark stuff. Yeah. I think it really just comes to how some people just take messages a lot more seriously than others, and also your environment. If you live in like a suburban neighborhood while listening to gangster music, 9 times out of 10, you're probably not gonna, because it's one thing to think about something, but it's another thing to actually do it. And so I think the people who do live in that area and actually does it, I really just think it determines on the person at that point. I don't feel like the average person actually does it. It's like playing violent video games. Granted, I'm not saying violent video games are responsible for any violence, but I do feel like I can't lie and say that it doesn't have any influence at all. I don't know. I feel like a lot of entertainment stuff have a lot of influence on us and things we want to do. It's like after you watch a Karate Kid movie, all of a sudden you want to do karate. Yeah, I agree. It depends on that's a big thing too when it comes to depressed people listening to the depression songs and stuff like that. If you have the mindset that these people have, which honestly is another thing, I feel like a lot of these young people, they're adopting these other people's mindsets sometimes. It's like X. X died at like 20. That's what I'm gonna be in like 5 months. 20 years old is like very young, and a lot of these kids take what he say really deep. Like they act like as if this man was like Socrates or Gandhi or some very, very, I don't want to say he was dumb, but at the end of the day, this was just like a 20-year-old guy who like just started finding himself. And, they're already like adopting his mindset. They're trying to adopting how he thinks and stuff like that. And they truly believe that that's the kind of person you should strive to be. And if you're listening to this right now and you're thinking about, okay, how can I find myself? I don't even think I'm at the pinnacle of finding myself yet, but I guess when it comes to advice on that, it all just really has to do with your purpose. What would you do for free that you could do all day for free that just makes you happy? Whatever that thing is, I believe that's the first step to figuring out what makes you happy. But yeah, so another thing I wanted to talk about was, well, personality. Me and Matt, we sort of talked about this on a discussion night, but the audio wasn't good. We talked about it on Monday, but we had to delete it. But I was really thinking about it, and it was about your personality. A lot of people, well, granted, I'll use my family as an example. So I have two older siblings, and they're about 10 years apart from me. We both have had, well, we only have one parent raising both of us. They both end up being teen parents, and they graduate high school, how to get jobs early, stuff like that. Versus me and my younger sibling, we both graduated college. I mean, graduated high school, not college. But we're in college right now. Obviously, not teen parents, stuff like that. And so it makes me wonder, when it comes to people going down that wrong path in life, do you guys believe that some people are just, I don't know, like, are they just born with a different personality? Like, how is their personality determined? On even like their decisions, is it based on their personality, or is it based on their environment and the parents that raised them? Because I saw this one post on Instagram the other day, and it was about how these two brothers both have alcoholic parents, and one of the brothers said they never wanted to drink alcohol because he saw how it affected their parents, and the other said that they're an alcoholic because they saw their parents drinking alcohol all the time. Mm, mm. Why do you guys believe that it's based on their parents and their environment? Mm. Personally, I feel like some people are. I think some people are born with their personalities. Like, I do feel like there is heavy influence on the path they could go to, and what I mean is that some people are just born more ambitious than others. And granted, something may have to do with that parent, but I do feel like ultimately, there's some people who are born into bad neighborhoods, and some do turn out to be like thugs and end up just like their parents. But other people, they do also end up being the complete opposite. And so it just makes you wonder, like, how does that happen? How does that determine that? Because if people are truly based on their parents and their environment, I just feel like life would be a lot more predictable if that was the case. Or people.
I
will be a
I
lot more
think
predictable.
I think it's also based on what that person thinks, like their mindset
It's
of
like
how they
like
look
like
at the world.
how is that mindset determined though? At least for a child.
That is true.
Because it's like, I guess that's what I mean. It's like how does that happen? Where again, two people given the same environment, same parents, stuff like that, but they both have two differently complete mindsets or interpretations on a situation on what they should do.
Mm,
That's what I mean when I say like people just born with different personalities rather than they're made. Yeah, for me, I think that they're born that way. I feel like they have to be, honestly. I just think it's the best mindset to have. Mm, yeah, I agree with that. So I'm curious because we're all capable of murder. We're all capable of many things. And so when it comes to murderers, do you think that they can be made? Or do you think that being a murderer has nothing to really do with your environment or your parents? Because, you see a lot of kids, some are in the suburbs, other in the ghetto, all around shooting up schools, things like that. You think it's more of like a trigger? Mm. Yeah, I think I could see that. You know what's but I'm shocked that there isn't more ambitious people whose goal is to be like the president of the United States or something. Like sometimes I feel like becoming president, Kanye West. But here's the thing when it comes to Kanye West, I do feel like when it comes to being president, we should have a lot more choices. You know, anybody can become president, and yet we get like what at the like a handful of candidates every year, and they all just happen to be rich people. I just feel like when it comes to being president, I don't know, it's just I really don't feel like money should have anything to do with it. I mean, I know you need money to I guess advertise yourself and all, but I don't know, sometimes I feel like it is a little bit rigged when it comes to being president. Not no normal person can be president in my opinion. You have to have connections and basically be rich if you want to even have a chance. But granted, it could just be that most people don't want to be president. Who knows? Maybe most people they're just not interested in that kind of life. Mm. Yeah, I mean, I would want to be president. Yeah, I think everybody sees how much of a shit show it really is to be a president, man. I guess I don't blame anybody for not wanting to be president. Here's one thing I wanted to talk about, and it's about anti-vaxxers. You guys know who they are, right? If you don't know, anybody listening to this doesn't know, anti-vaxxers are basically people who are against their children taking the vaccine. And people believe that the people who don't want their children to take the vaccine believes that the government is they're putting bad things into their kids' bodies that could make them develop autism and things like that. And so that's why they don't want to do it. And the argument behind the other side is that, okay, but if you don't take this vaccine, you could be putting your child at risk and, you could die and stuff like that. And so what do you guys think about that? Because honestly, I feel like being vaccinated as a child, I don't know. I'm so back and forth on it, to be honest. Part of me just feels like it really should be up to that person's decision. And by person, here's the thing when it comes to person. I fought between should it be up to the parent or should it be up to that individual person themselves? For me, I'm thinking like 18, 18 years old. Like that's when they determine it on if they want this certain thing injected inside of them or not. Oh, I said that should parents determine whether children get vaccinated or should the people once they're grown determine it themselves? Because when it comes to anti-vaccination or vaccines in general, we really don't know what's in those vaccines. Because here's my thing. A lot of people love to dismiss the other side. You hear something and you just immediately think they're wrong. And it's just like, if this large of people think a certain way, I think at the very least we should try and figure out where they're coming from before immediately dismissing them. I don't know. I just feel like there's such a big campaign really for this whole anti-vaccination thing, and we just immediately think that they're dumb, stupid people. I think it's just doing a lot more harm than good. I think that's really just making people double down on that whole anti-vaccination thing now. But I think if it really is that serious, I think that they should have these kids grow up and let them decide. Really, either that or again, personally, I feel like I don't know. I just feel like it's the government really should not have that much control over your own child, in my opinion. Like that is your kid. It's not. They're not. They shouldn't be feel like they're owned by the government. Well, I mean, regardless of the other reasoning, basically, should people have the right to say no? I really think it's the same thing because you can't, like, you're not giving birth to money. You get what I mean? Like, you're like, this is a human being you gave birth to. Well, when it comes to anti-vaxxers, do you guys believe that these people are genuinely crazy? Or do you think that these people, do you think that these people have the right to say no in the first place? Why do you think that's overprotective? Like, what do you mean specifically being overprotective? If these people are overprotective, do you really think that these people would be so careless about their child's health that they would just listen to a, you know, conspiracy online and that would be enough for them to jeopardize their child's health? Because again, to me, like, again, that's why I don't really. That's a conspiracy theory that people say like there's no facts at all to support it with. There's nothing. I'm not saying there is nothing to support their theory with, but I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's like that's why I can't dismiss them. Not saying that if a large sum of people think that some way, like if it's a certain way, it's right, but I don't know. I do feel like if there's a large group of people that think a certain way, to at least figure out where they're coming from. And so another thing I wanted to talk about was the military. So no matter what happens, we're every like what 20, 30 years we get into a war and the draft happens and things like that. And I've noticed that in other countries, like in Korea, you're obligated, you have to be in the military for a year or so. Do you think that you think that that should be everywhere, or do you think that you think that's too much? Like, should everybody have military experience and a military science? Okay. What do you think, Matt? Do you think that it should be a forced thing, or you think that people should just have the right to decide? Yeah, you're probably right. Honestly, I do feel like if in America they made being part of the military mandatory, it would probably they would probably make it a part of being in school. But if it did happen, do you think that women should be required to also be a part of the whole military thing? Like if the draft happened in 2020, there's women in the military and things like that. Do you think that women should also be required? Because there's two sides to it. If you say no, then it's gonna be people upset because it's like, oh, it's sexist because there's a lot of people, a lot of women who are in the military, and they put in that work. But there's the other side of no because they feel like overall women just wouldn't have that as much of an impact as a soldier on the field. And there's also another thing of if you don't think that women should be in the war, then they shouldn't be in the army type argument. And support. How do you think they should be supportive? Like nurses? Doctors in the army? Hmm. Yeah, for me, I'm very 50-50 on it, man. But I don't know. I do feel like when it comes to war, I feel like war is just a demonic thing. It's a demonic place to be in. And because it's a demonic place to be in, I think that those who understand where I'm getting at knows how much worse it could be for women being there in that demonic place. I don't know. It's like you just kind of go to the default when it comes to patriarchy if you're going that way. But I don't know. If it was up to me, I would probably make things that way. Have a I don't know. I would have women as like at the very least become captains or some sort. Figure out strategy. But I really don't feel like they should be in the battlefield. It's a whole other subject. Should we allow autistic people to be a part of the army? I mean, if you say yes to them, you gotta say yes to everybody else. Honestly, I think that at the end of the day, it should really just be about whoever is willing to risk their lives for a country that I feel like doesn't care about them. Whoever is willing to volunteer as tribute. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not saying a country doesn't care about them. I do feel like honestly, I don't know, when it comes to the military and it being honorable, I just hear hypocrisy sometimes. Because again, like as a child you're taught that killing is wrong, violence is wrong. And yet we call people who kill and use violence to solve the country's problems as heroes. Not saying that they're not heroes. So all the vets, chill out. But I don't know. I just feel like it's it's an upside down world where I feel like we're in a society right now where we praise probably, well, honestly, we respect the military much more than we respect doctors, things like that. I don't know, what do you think? Do you think that when it comes to the whole idea of the military and people highly praising them for basically just being, killers? I mean, honestly, I don't know. I highly doubt the military really are out here killing folks like that, but I don't know. When it comes to that whole idea of the military and war, do you think that's overhyped? Because as some people say, you're basically selling your soul to the country once you do something like that. Basically, do you feel like people who sign up for the military, or do you think the whole idea of respect for the military, do you think is hypocritical? Because again, we say that killing and violence is wrong, and yet those are the type of people who are most celebrated. All right, I'll say it one more time. Do you believe? Oh, okay. Well, that's right. Yeah, I'll say it one more time. Do you believe that? I guess I'll start from the beginning. We live in a society where we say that killing, violence, murder, stuff like that is wrong. And yet, being a part of the army, it's a very, we put all these people on a pedestal for it. Do you think it's hypocritical? That they're using violence and they're killing people. So do you think that there's ever a good reason to use violence? Like, let's say that, because again, if you're a regular citizen and you fight for, yeah, before we end this, I just want to ask any questions that you guys want to ask about. Just let me know. I did send you both a list, and so let me know if there was one particular question that you guys wanted to discuss before we end tonight. What about you, Matt? Anything you want to talk about before we go? All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. We had a lot of good discussions here tonight. If you're watching this, let me know how you guys feel about me screen recording and reading what people are saying instead of hearing them. Let me know if you guys don't mind that or not. If you guys like it, then I'll probably do it more often. But if not, then we'll go back to the regular scheduled program of just talking. How did you guys like it? Yeah, man, I need to get you a mic. All right, guys. Well, thank you again for coming. Hope you guys have an amazing day or night. What is it nighttime for you guys right now, or is it daytime? Afternoon for you. What about you, Black Soul?